This podcast has been rated, we have actually no idea, by the Motion Picture Association. You're going to have to take our word for it. This might actually be family friendly and probably isn't. From Rochester, New York, the home of a lot of people who are confused as to what the hell Chris is talking about at the moment, this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, and everything can be geeky if you love it enough. My name is Chris. I am your host. Also with me right now are my dearest friends Daniel Carmen and Tanya Metris. We miss our Billy. We don't have a Billy today, but we're going to try and soldier forward and see what we can get done, even though in lieu of us being gimped at the moment.
We tried to Deanna, but that didn't necessarily work because she needs.
I love how you made that into a verb. We tried to Deanna. I love that. That was hilarious. That's awesome.
It's a lot better than we tried Deanna.
we tried to Deanna. That's going to be a thing. All right. So that's D. We're going to have to figure that out. So what does it mean to Deanna? It's to be open-minded and practical.
She likes this movie.
There's a certain level of pragmatism involved in that. Okay, so yeah, and she unlike you, she actually likes this movie. It's weird.
She likes Mel Brooks movies. I'm just not a big fan, but that's
and that's the thing. We trundle into this every so often, like with Monty Python, Mel Brooks, and I'm sure there's a couple of other genres of geek type movie where it's just we lose the Tanya, and I don't expect it. I always because I know that there's a certain level of exposure you have not had to certain things, right? So I'm figuring we'll introduce you to this, you'll get a kick out of it, you'll understand what we're talking about, we'll move on. And then to I get these text messages. This is agony. I hate this. What is going on here? Why are you doing this to me? Help me! And it's like,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you weren't going to like it. And it's like I feel horrible.
But we like it.
And that's okay. I'm just like I don't have to like everything that you guys like. And our friend Mark showed up yesterday, and he's like, "It's good to be the king." I'm like, now I understand the reference because he uses that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now I understand the reference, but
doesn't mean you like it.
Right.
Doesn't mean you like the reference.
Or whatever. So.
But we've toyed with the idea of letting Tanya pick the next movies. I'm a little hesitant on
Why?
I'm just saying. Don't you know, me standing up out of my chair was not an invitation for you to try and figure out what's going on. Lay down. Leave me alone. You still stink. I'm staying.
That's because of the skunk.
Yes, Juno met her first skunk, and it did not go well because she was like, "Oh, look, wiggly thing I can play with," and the wiggly thing she could play with was like, "Oh God, look at the huge thing!"
And Spritzter.
Yes.
She took a point blank shot in the mouth because I think she was just like so excited to,
Woo! A playmate.
Yeah, and so she got and because I don't know who was I describing this to the other day? She does not wear a collar when she's home. Right? I take her collar off, and usually when she has her collar on, we go out for walks or we're going out to visiting and we're going to go play in the park or whatever because it has all of her tags on her. So she rattles, she jingles like a freaking, reindeer sleigh at Christmas time. But or more obnoxiously.
Let's hear those sleigh bells ringing and
yeah. So when we're home and she's running around, she's chipped and she's really good. She's really well behaved. I can let her out into the yard and she's going to stay in the yard. She doesn't bolt away, and she'll come when she calls, etc. So I don't leave her collar on when she's home, and so she snuck up on this thing. She had to because I've had her claws freshly trimmed, so she wasn't clicking. She's running down the driveway, so she must have been right on top of it. And so it hit her in the face point blank. And poor thing, she was choking on it, on the musk and spitting it up for a while. But she'd gotten a fair dose in the face. And, I tried to bathe her as best I could because it was, freaking 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. And the Unisom was kicking in, so I'm like struggling at this point. And so I'm exhausted. And of course, she rubs her face over everything. So the entire house is skunk at the moment.
Oh, jeez.
But I got to the pet store. Oh, here's my favorite part of the story. Because it gets better if it could. I get to the pet store. I told my boss what's going on, so he lets me hit there like during my break on work Wednesday. And I get the good shampoo, and I get the anti-odor spray, from the pet store. So the really powerful, good stuff rated, and the deodorizing spray is all organic and everything. So I'm like excited to use it. And I get home and I give her a bath, and I'm working it and trying to get the stuff into her fur and hosing her down and whatnot. And we're drying her off, and I let her outside so that she can kind of like just go pee and run around for a bit before I go back to work. And all of a sudden she starts doing that sliding in the grass thing, which I expect. I've seen her do that after baths in the past, but she wasn't quite aiming. She wasn't quite paying attention where she was. So she slid through a pile of her own poop.
Oh, no.
And I saw it, and it was just like with the freaking skunk 12 hours earlier. I saw it and processed what it was a millisecond too late. And it was the same thing with the pile of dog poo, where it was like I saw it and I saw her heading towards it. And I'm like, Juno, no! And she stopped and she like goes careening right through it. I'm like, oh God! So I hosed her down in the yard and then took her back upstairs for another bath. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
The fun part of dogs. That's why I have to stay inside.
Yeah, and I've been systematically going through the house and deodorizing and taking blankets and pillows and stuff and throwing them through the wash and whatnot.
Wash everything you can.
I am, right? I am, and twice in some cases.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how much that smells. It sticks to everything.
It's amazing. It is amazing and disheartening, I will say. Yeah. It's slightly disheartening.
Well, yeah, I was like, geez. I'd be more impressed if it wasn't in my house.
Yeah. So geez. Anyway,
that's fun stuff.
So, and then I had my procedure on Thursday.
Yeah.
And that was entertaining. So.
And you were totally out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just woke up and like, oh.
Yeah.
I barely remember waking up from mine, but of course mine was also saying, "Oh, you have a cancer."
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't do that. They did remove a polyp, but
yeah.
I haven't heard that.
I don't don't remember him saying that but I do remember. I had the picture from it. Mm-hmm. Did you get pictures?
No, I didn't get pictures.
I got pictures. Pretty exciting stuff.
That's nice. A little 8x10 for the wall.
Yeah, hanging up and look at it every day. And no, just for the output he gave me, and to show what show the tumor and stuff. Like, oh, that's nice.
I will tell you this. I mean, I've been put out. This is the second time I've been put out, and last time it was much smoother. This time I was wrecked for the day. I was
really?
Oh my God, I was so shaky and. And I went home. I think I got home around noon, and I laid down on just take like a quick nap. And next thing I know, it was like 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I
wasn't that bad. I was just groggy for a while, but then I might have napped a little bit afterwards, but I wasn't too bad of shape. So, yeah. But yeah. But it's good. It's good to get you checked out your innards, so nothing major there. So that was good.
Yeah, I suppose if there was anything glaring, they probably would have said something about it. So, and I really haven't heard anything like you have to see this person or see if have this follow up or whatever the case may be. So I'll take it as a win so far.
Yeah. They seen enough of this stuff, so they know. I hear a lot of people. They it's not uncommon to find the little polyps in there that they pull out. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did what you've been asking me to do. I followed up and did my middle-aged man duty and took care of that rite of passage for being 50.
Yay. Hey, better safe than sorry. So good to check it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Get your 50-year checkup there, and
just know, ladies and gentlemen, that if you ever want to be part of the board of directors of the Flower City Comic-Con, you have to be like the rest of us and have a camera up your ass.
Everyone's doing it.
Everybody's doing it now.
All the cool people have done it already.
Exactly. It's like, okay, what's your T-shirt size? What do you want to say on your business card? And when can you schedule your colonoscopy?
Yeah.
I feel like I am late to the party though, because I've heard all of you talking about it, and it's like, wait, I feel left out. I feel left out in a very deranged way.
So that gives everybody an idea of the age of the board here.
Yes. we all act immature and young, but we are not young.
Now, Anne is the baby on the board, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Not by much.
No,
but
she's couple still years.
She's still.
Well, she just turned 30, so
Yeah.
And holding, yes.
And holding, yes. I guess that'll be a question. That'll be a question of the week. If you could pick an age that you remember fondly and you just want to stay at for the rest of time, what year would that be?
I think 30 would probably be a pretty good age.
I'd say, 27, 28, somewhere in that neck of the woods.
I don't know. My students at work over the summer, they have no clue how to gauge somebody's age. They believe me to be like mid-30s, at the most like 38, 39.
Nice.
So they have me at 10 years younger than I actually am.
And I get that a lot
just
too.
About that, right?
Yeah.
I'm almost like, oh, you're my favorite. They're like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to be 50 next year. They're like, no, you're not. And then they look back at my SVA and she's like, well, how old am I? They're like, well, you're 40. And like 40, 41. And she's like, oh, no, honey, I just turned 60. They're like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Versus I have my youngest who proudly says my age to anybody who asks.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
I know, my gosh.
Well, my mom had Tyler, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, believing when he was younger that my mom was 36 for like the longest time. And he believed her to the point where when she had to go pick him up at school one day because he wasn't feeling good or whatever, and he goes, oh, this is my Nana. And said to the principal, she's 36. And the principal or the assistant principal looks at her over Tyler's head, and mom just put her finger up around over her lips to like, shh. We're not letting him. So for the longest time, he goes, okay, Nana, in June, you're going to be 37. In June, you're going to be, and I'm like, Tyler James. I go, if your mother is such and such age and Nana is my mom, how can she be younger than me? My mom's like, shut up, stop it.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite fly anymore because he's figured that out.
Yeah.
But I remember being when I was younger. I mean, when you get over a certain, 20, basically, when you're like in high school,
everything's old.
You don't. It was hard to gauge people.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, sometimes you could tell by the way they dressed or acted.
Yeah, that's true.
You could tell.
That's true. When we were young, as soon as you hit 55, you were in like check trousers and orthopedic shoes and polo shirts all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I look at pictures of my baby pictures and I see my grandparents and I know that I'm only like 5 years younger than they were. I'm 5 years younger now than they were when I was born. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm in khakis and cargo shorts and t-shirts and jeans and sneakers and I'm like dark hair and I'm like, wait, what the hell?
I'm still jealous of your hair.
I wish, I wish I knew how I've been so lucky for this. I really did.
With all the stress you've been through in your life.
I know, seriously.
No kidding.
How I have a full head of hair and I'm not gray. It's just
no hair. And, I mean, come on, you should be stressed out.
And you don't use the Grecian formula for men either.
I do not. I have only dyed my hair once. I have only dyed my hair once in my entire life. It was my freshman year of college, and it was for theater.
Yeah.
Right. It was just almost. It was like just kind of a glancing thing. It wasn't even like a full like bleach or whatever the case may be kind of a thing, and just a highlight or whatever. And then that was it. As soon as I grew out, I haven't done it since.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, like Dan, when we went to our high school reunion a couple years ago for our 30. Mm-hmm. And they're all, the guys are all staring at me like, all right, what do you do? I'm like, nothing. I get it cut every so often by this really cute redhead. That's about it.
Keep me young.
That's it. You have to have the right redhead in your life, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, that's my barber. There you have it. So I don't know. I really don't know because we talk about this all the time. We throw people off with our ages, and like I get these older property managers and they'll be like, oh, you're too young to know that. And I'm like, and I'll start making references to the thing they're making references to. And they'll look at me like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I was a kid when that was out.
Yeah, come on.
And they're like, wait, what?
We age well. We don't act old.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think my secret to aging is that I just try not to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go out of my way to focus on. I mean, I feel it, and I know I've been griping. I'll gripe about it a lot, but it's usually for comedic effect more than anything else. Like, oh, I feel old today. It's more for that than anything else. But I go about my business.
And I've done that too, except for the past year.
Yeah,
The past year has definitely changed my viewpoint a little bit. But
I can't imagine this past year not aging you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to do as much as I could before, and trying to be as much as I'm keeping my sense of humor. I'm not letting it get me down. Well, it gets me down, but I'm not letting it keep me down.
Right.
But and I'm still running. I'm still doing whatever. So I'm still trying. But it's definitely it definitely opens your eyes.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out, why do you run?
Because he can.
Because
at our age, are you freaking kidding me? If I could be a marathon man, I would, but I can't. I'm not capable of that shit.
It helps keep me sane. It's my me time. It's the time I can
it's always been
shut up.
It's always been time of therapy for you. Yeah,
seriously.
I have a different version of me time. But okay.
Shut off, and I can shut off. I put in. I'm listening to books. Usually listening to books on tape, recorded books, and just out there, outside. Usually out. Outside and just running in an hour or 2 or 3, whatever. Then it's just time with no one bothering me.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's how I de-stress and stuff. So it's my time.
More power to you.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have your own way to deal with things. That's one of my ways to deal with things. So yeah.
Okay, so talking about aging and things that are not aging or whatever, this movie that we're going to be talking about truly it can be made today.
Oh no, definitely could not.
No.
So we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back.
There you go. She's trying to keep us on point right now. Did you notice that? She's the one.
Otherwise, this is Dan and Chris, or Chris and Dan. Dan and Chris Save the World, with commentary just of me every so often in there, and that's a fair Friday podcast, not a Wednesday podcast.
I suppose that's fair.
Okay, we didn't do it last week, so we got to make up for it.
Yeah,
no kidding.
All right, let's take a break.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. A new fragrance from the line of the Mighty Monkey.
Spoilers.
When you want that little hint of adventure.
Spoilers.
When you know it's coming, but you're not sure after all.
Spoilers.
When your PSA makes no goddamn sense, but you're gonna go for it anyway.
Spoilers.
All right, so we're coming back in 3, 57, 42. Hut. We are lovingly predictable at how stupid we are sometimes.
Hence, appropriate for this movie.
Right.
So Mel Brooks, 1981, right? Is this is 1981?
June 12th, 1981 was the release date.
The History of the World, Part 1, which, as we said during the break, Tanya was like, this is a movie that cannot be made today. And, it could barely be made back in the 80s, I think. It really was pushing some edges. But the thing is, it's like, I don't know how to phrase this. When you look at it from within the culture, he really was using a lot of the good old-fashioned Jewish comedian humor, right? The puns and the cultural references and the religious references, and being Jewish himself, looking out from inside the sphere, he could make those observations, whereas if it was somebody else looking inward, without that history, without that knowledge, then you're like, oh wait, you're using a caricature, then probably not as acceptable.
Right.
It's like,
could anybody but Mel Brooks have made this movie?
No. God, no. No. Absolutely not. I think that's part of his genius, is the fact that he knew it's not so much walking the line, he knew he could step over it, stand there, do a little dance, a little soft shoe, and people would laugh because they were with him on the joke. They knew he was laughing about it, so they would join him, essentially. Right. And I think that was part of his brilliance, is that he just flaunted that line, and they had a great time with it. You could just tell everybody who was involved were having just as much fun making the movie as he did writing it, probably.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine that era in comedy and working with him and everybody who was in this movie. I mean, it was just, it was like a who's who almost of, these names in this movie.
Right.
It was just, it's, cameos by, John Hurt, Hugh Hefner,
yes,
Barry Levinson, Jackie Mason, Orson Welles narrated.
Yes, he did. Of course, the first arch critic. in the way that only Orson Welles could.
Exactly. And the Sid Caesar, Shecky Green, Gregory Hines. This was great. This is Gregory Hines' film debut.
Was it really?
That's what it says, yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is actually kind of nuts.
Dom DeLuise, Madeline Kahn.
Dom DeLuise was a Mel Brooks staple. I mean, you knew if Mel was making a movie, Dom was probably going to be in it.
Mm-hmm. We see that with a lot of different people. If there's so and so is making a movie, you're almost going to see somebody else in this. That other person in the movie.
Like Adam they have Sandler, their own stable, like their usual folks. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Adam Sandler has there's people who's almost always in Adam Sandler's movies.
Oh, Rob Schneider.
Yeah, Rob Schneider. There's other people who are like that too, that always show up in someone else's movies there. But
think of who was director of the Ocean's movies? Because you can always, it's Clooney, Pitt, Matt Damon, all those guys that showed up in the Ocean's movies. There was basically just a glorification of the usual cadre of folks he would work with.
Yeah.
So you'd see that.
Looking.
So we start.
Steven Soderbergh.
I kept wanting to say Sondheim, and I know that was the guy behind the musicals, the classic musicals. Yeah, no, I'm in nowhere near close enough. But thank you for your.
Just a second, I have to close the door. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay.
At least you don't have anyone vacuuming.
Well, there's that.
That's why I had to close the door.
So now they're vacuuming? So the vacuuming is moved from my house to your house. Got it.
Yeah, apparently, when
Sunday morning.
Podcast time is vacuuming time.
See, this is why. This is one of the benefits of living alone, because the only person who runs the vacuum in my house is me.
Right.
So I know for a fact that the vacuum will not be running while I'm recording.
Really?
Although now that I've said that,
maybe you will.
You know what? Maybe I should just. I'll get the wireless. I'll get a wireless headset, and I'll just vacuum while I'm recording the next time.
That's our thing.
That'll be a thing. So, Dan and Chris Save the World, episode 11. Chris vacuums the house and saves his house from a skunk. I guess I don't know.
From a fur monster.
The fur monster. Oh my god!
Did you get to your office?
I did. I really did. I had to. I have this old, shabby, kind of like light beige, very beaten and should be replaced rug that I inherited from the previous owner of the house, and it was like a black paisley pattern because of all the hair that was on the floor. It was amazing, and she's just like, "Oh, thank you for making room. I want to shed more."
Yay!
It was probably from the 80s. Just like the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
It's appropriate for the movie.
So we start at the dawn of time.
And
right off the bat, he makes basically a masturbation joke right off the bat.
Yeah, that's
and it sets the tone that this is what you're going to be looking at.
Are they doing what I think they're doing?
Yes, they are. yes, they are.
And then he takes the depiction of invention of fire. The first artist.
I thought it was the funny for me. The stupid moment, of course. The stupid laugh moment is that he's trying to hit the rocks together to make the fire. Then this guy walks in with a torch and hands it to him, and he tries to get the torch to light the rock, but doesn't think to actually light the hay and the sticks underneath. He just hands the torch back, and he's just like, "All right, well,
I can't do it." I thought it was clever because you kind of expect the torch to come in there, but you almost expect him to ignore the torch or just use it for light.
Mm-hmm.
But then he actually grabs the torch and tries to light it with the torch.
Yes.
And so he took it a step farther than I would have expected. Because the torch, yeah.
The interesting thing for me. Let me be scholastic for a moment, at the least. Some sort of intellectual at the moment.
Yes,
when
sir,
you step back and you look at
think about this.
When you look at each of the vignettes in each of the time periods that he touches on in History of the World Part 1, there is a level of historical accuracy involved in terms of depicting how the culture actually was. He tries to stick to certain events. He tries to stick to certain tales and folklore of each of the eras that he touches on, and then of course he turns it on his ear by putting Mel Brooks humor into it, right? But his look at the Roman culture was fairly accurate, and then he throws Jewish stand-up into it.
Stand-up philosopher.
Stand-up philosopher. So yeah, bullshit artist. All right. But he did kind of touch on the fact that Rome did have a lot of advanced civilization to it. There were the way you could hear them, the street vendors obviously didn't act that way, but they're talking about aqueducts.
I got nothing.
Yeah. It was just, I thought it was interesting. The more I'm looking at it from being 50 instead of being, 20. I know I was 19 when I saw that movie for the first time. 18, 19 when I saw that movie for the first time.
It was 11. We were 11 when it came out, or actually, we were 10 when it came out.
Yeah, but of course, my parents were never going to let me watch it. So
we didn't see it till later.
But it was very interesting to see. I'm like, oh yeah, no, that was kind of how it was. And then of course, it had a Mel Brooks spin on it,
right?
Which I thought was very interesting, and on how to kind of put that together.
And I saw it much, much later.
Yes, a couple days ago.
Yes.
But yeah, so Stone Age.
First
marriage.
And where the caveman clubs the woman and carries her away.
And then the first homosexual marriage.
Yes, guy clubs the guy and carries him away.
The first funeral.
Yes. They throw him up.
And then they throw him away.
I think I missed that part.
I think you were too busy texting, going, "Dear God, please help me! I don't want to watch this."
Yeah,
I missed the funeral part. I saw the first two marriages.
It happened very quickly.
They did a quick silence over the body, and then just threw the body off the stage.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I missed that part.
Oh, and music. How they created music.
How they created music. Yeah, by slamming rocks on each other's feet. And it was interesting that the first piece was, of course, a Christian hymn, written.
Hallelujah.
An adaptation written by a Jewish man. I thought the dichotomy was entertaining for me.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a smart man. I mean, he
really is.
He comes down, and then we move on to the Old Testament.
Yes. These 15 crash. These 10 commandments. I really thought he was going to do more with Egypt. I really did. I thought he was going to do more with that whole thing. He did not, and I'm not disappointed. But I was just like, that would have been cool if he'd done a little bit more interaction between him and or between Moses and the Pharaoh kind of a thing. I thought that would have been kind of but too on the nose, maybe. I don't know.
I think he was trying to focus. He wanted to get to the Roman Empire and the other.
Yeah, because a lot of those vignettes were very short, but then you get to the Roman section was huge.
Well, a little trivia about the Moses scene.
Okay.
According to Mel Brooks, the Moses scene was a last-minute addition. Sometimes you will get very lucky, and the set will give you ideas for jokes, Brooks said in a 2012 interview with the Directors Guild of America. One day, he was gazing out at the scenery that had been built for the caveman segments when the gears in his head started turning. I immediately thought, well, where do I go from here? Brooks recalled. Heading to the shoot, his plan was to skip the Bible and go to Rome, but eventually he realized that the Stone Age set might enable him to explore another chapter in world history. With a few minor alterations, Brooks converted his fake caves into mountaintop, and the Moses bit was born.
All right.
So it's just a spur of the moment thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. We just when the moment hits, you just got to roll with it. We've had that. We've done that. In our videos and podcasts and stuff. You just suddenly you kind of you feel it and you run with it.
and it worked. I mean, it was a very short segment, but it was very memorable.
Yes, it was.
These 10 commandments.
But Rome was really the biggest section, with the French Revolution being right behind it, I'd say.
Spanish Inquisition, then.
The Inquisition was
in the
kind of a musical number.
Yeah, it was, but it was it was just short.
I mean, because I think he spent the most time in those two sections, but with the little vignettes in the middle, kind of a thing. The Spanish Inquisition, was that after France?
It was after the Roman Empire.
So after Roman, before France.
Between Roman and French.
Gotcha. I just watched it last night. I should remember these things.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I've been really liking the fact that I don't feel like I'm procrastinating anymore. I'm watching it like the day that we podcast or the day before, and that helps me actually remember what the hell happened in the movie.
It's all fresh in your head, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the Roman Empire, Brooks is playing Comicus, a stand-up philosopher.
Mm-hmm. And his agent is Swiftus.
Yep. Played by Ron Carey.
Ron Carey, who I remember from Barney Miller.
Okay.
That's what I've
seen him from. Okay, I knew.
Yeah, he was the desk cop that always worked with the detectives.
And then Comicus falls in love with the Vestal Virgin.
Mm-hmm.
and befriends an Ethiopian slave named Josephus. There's Gregory Hines. There's a little soft shoe there.
What an entertainer that man was.
Oh, my God.
It was supposed to be Richard Pryor.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Gregory Hines replaced Richard Pryor. Just like in Blazing Saddles, Pryor was originally cast but had to pull out of the movie. Pryor's part eventually was taken by Hines in his screen debut. Just before filming was to begin, Pryor had his infamous drug-related accident catching fire and was getting severely burned.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So,
wow.
What's it like to be in a position where you don't want to be in a Mel Brooks movie so badly you set yourself on fire?
Right. I mean,
these are the questions that need answering, I suppose. Well, I got to tell you, knowing that, and I was not aware of that piece of trivia that Pryor was originally cast for Josephus, that would change that entire section dramatically, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have two men who handle comedy in an entirely different way.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? I mean, and not that Pryor was hard to work with, because he was an amazing, talent. Everybody always talked about how much fun he was to be around.
But it would have been different.
Yeah, I mean, where Josephus with Hines really kind of relied on his skill as a dancer.
Right.
And his very flimsy build, because he's a dancer. So he kind of like relied on that for physical comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Where Pryor would be a very kind of more edgy attitude, you think? So that would have been interesting to see.
That would have been, I had a much different role there, boy.
Mm-hmm.
We get into this a lot with these things, like what if so and so would have actually done the part, and this is it would have been. Yeah, I mean, because like the part, the sand dance, whatever it was on the stage,
right?
Ethiopia, that wouldn't have been there with Richard Pryor, probably.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know if Richard Pryor had tap dance skills.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean,
but it's more of a Gregory Hines type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's interesting. Huh. But then, so then they got Josephus's life is spared when he's conscripted into service of the Empress Nympho, Madeline Kahn.
And there was some very groan-worthy puns involved in that. I admit that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Emperor Nero was played by Dom DeLuise, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let me see. And then Comicus does stand-up comedy in front of the emperor, and then he gets into the political jokes and
dies.
And he gets sentenced to death.
Yeah, he was killing. It was actually funny, and then all of a sudden he said the wrong thing, and everybody turned the whole
big
crowd
fat
turned
pig.
on him. Yeah.
Did he call me a pig? And Dom DeLuise is next to the pig with an apple in his mouth.
Yes.
And then, so then he sends them to fight each other.
Right.
Comicus and Josephus to fight each other, and they do very poorly doing that.
But then they somehow managed to figure out how to fight their way out of the room and run.
Amazingly enough, they could.
Amazingly enough, they're terrible at fighting each other, but they had enough skill to get the hell past the Roman legion and get out the door.
It was amazing.
I was very impressed.
Yes.
I made the joke to my, of course, the only person I was watching the movie with was Juno, and I looked down at her. I'm like, who, Mel Brooks, action hero. Who knew?
Well, yeah, because he did a lot more acting in some of his movies than others. So, But yeah, and then Josephus hides in a row of eunuchs.
Yeah, that didn't work.
And they had a seductive dancer dance in front of him to see who would react.
Tanya was not amused.
I just want to know how they could keep a straight face during that, and how many takes it possibly took.
Well, they're professionals, I mean, that's something we've kind of hinted at in other places where you wonder how they react to each other and how they manage to keep the straight face. But these are people who are used to that sort of thing, and you really have to work hard to get them to crack. Which when you look at the Carol Burnett show, Tim Conway had a knack for getting under Harvey Korman's skin.
Right, and I was just thinking that had Tim Conway been in this also, I think
Korman would have been
a wreck. he would have been on the ground because of just how Tim Conway was able to break him up during the Carol Burnett show.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a tangent for you. There's a TikTok guy I follow. He's a musical actor. He's a stage actor, and one of his most recent parts, he did a long stint as the genie for the Aladdin stage show.
Oh yeah, I see him occasionally.
I friended him because I wanted to follow this guy because he's got the great little snippets, and he goes into these. He goes off the script as he's expected to, because that's the benchmark that Robin Williams created when he first created the genie in the first place. And this guy rose to the occasion on several events, and you keep asking him the same question: how did your cast actually function with you going off like this? But these are trained professionals, and they also there's a certain level of expectation. They know he's going to go off the reservation, so they are braced for it.
Well, I saw that in Damn Yankees. Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis was in it. And he came to Rochester, and he had the whole section where he's just going off on doing his own thing, and other performers, they were having trouble keeping in character. Yes, but it's like, oh my god, that was hilarious though. the fact that these they can do that.
Yeah,
they're that quick on their toes, where they can react and come up with this stuff. Which is why I always loved whose line is it anyways?
Yes, I adore that show. It's just sheer chaos, and I'm here for it.
And it's just the stuff they come up with on off the cuff, on the spur of the moment. It's just amazing to be able to think like that. I'm good at coming up with it like 5 minutes later. The moment has already passed.
You're like, damn, that would have been good.
I can often hang in that kind of a thing for a little bit. I don't have the firepower.
You're decent at it. You're definitely much better at it than most people.
Yeah, that skill's rubbing off.
And that's good. That's good. I prefer sharing that, but I attribute that skill to the original group of guys I hung out with when I was in college. The guys who taught me how to play D&D, my first group of college buddies, right? Because it was fast and furious. You either hung with the big dogs or you were just going to get run over, because we were always throwing elbows at each other. Somebody had an opportunity, they'd throw the shot. We would all laugh because it was all in good fun. Somebody would pick on me, boom, I'd throw something. Kirk would throw at Mike would throw at Jeff, etc. It just went around the horn. Paul would throw shots at everybody because he was smarter than everybody else too. So you learned it was sink or swim. So while I may have always had the ability to do it, these guys really were my first influence. Yeah. And then you watch others doing it, like the Whose Line Is It Anyway cast, Robin Williams, like Billy Crystal, and you're like, oh, and you just get inspired by that. So it's. You just run with it, and you hope for the best.
It's crazy. It's amazing. These people are really amazing. It's just that's why they were where they were. Okay, I can't even say normal words off the cuff.
We still love you, Dan.
Yes, we do. We do.
Oh gosh. So. Then there's the scene in the okay. So back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
There's a scene in the Empress's chambers of the Vestal Virgins when they come up with the lineup of the men for the nightly orgy.
Yes.
No,
and they line up of the soldiers.
No, yes.
Oh yes,
yes.
Madeline Kahn,
oh my gosh,
was genius. All right, but she was so subtle about it, right? She was just, she had the way of delivering lines and delivering the punchline in a way that you never saw it coming until it was way too late, right? And then suddenly you realize that she's the smartest person in the room, you know, and she had this amazing talent and absolutely she had no hesitation. You know, she was fearless, just absolutely fearless. What a loss she was. I mean, she passed away. She was in 1999. She passed
99,
away.
December 3rd. Yeah. She was on a lot of another Mel Brooks staple. I mean, Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, History of the World.
Yep.
Yellowbeard,
and Blazing Saddles.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh man, it's just, and then he surrounded himself with the best. You know, the funniest people of that time. He had them around. He had them all around him. It's just,
amazing. Yes. Let's see what else happened there. Oh, and the crazy chariot chase when he
oh god,
goes in the field of marijuana and makes it.
He makes the marijuana smoke screen.
Wrap it in paper and the papyrus paper and
the one centurion.
he was licking it. I'm just
yeah.
Forms a device he calls the mighty joint.
Roman red. And then that one centurion, you guys go left, you go right. I'm going to go walking around in a circle right here.
And then they escape from the port to Judea.
Yes.
And then Comics just gets a job waiting tables.
Right. And he waits tables at the Last Supper. All right, so remember that whole talk about historical accuracy kind of went out the window there, but you know.
Well, one of you has betrayed me tonight, and the apostles are in fear. Comicus says, Judas, do you want some old wine? And Jesus is played by John Hurt.
Yes, it was. I didn't recognize his face at first, but then I heard the voice, and I'm like, oh my god, I know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, geez. And then Leonardo da Vinci came in to paint the portrait.
To paint the Last Supper.
Wait a second. There's a timeline here.
Yes. So yes, the historical accuracy does not hold true to the whole movie.
No.
he makes references to things and the way he sets certain things up. Yes, but you know he does not actually adhere to actual.
We got to do it for the comedy there. You know.
Yes.
Comicus holding a silver plate behind Jesus.
Yes, for the halo. Yes.
Oh, jeez. Jesus, yes. Jesus.
Yes, there was a lot of groaning on my part. Like, there wasn't downright laughter like you guys, but there's some groaning.
Oh,
like.
I remember the first movie that I really, really laughed at. I think was either Naked Gun or Airplane. I forget which one it was. I just remember, of course, I was at my frat house, and I might have had a drink or two. I don't know, but I remember with my friend, my fraternity brother Jeff. There, we were sitting there in our TV room watching, and we were just dying, laughing so freaking hard. But
I don't think I've belly laughed at movies.
I think it was a Naked Gun. It was a Naked Gun we were watching.
Mm-hmm.
It was, oh my gosh, that was yeah. Anyways,
I mean that's a series of movies we'll have to do, are the movies that made us laugh.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the Naked Gun movies, Tanya?
Yes, I have.
Did you think they were funny?
I saw the first one, but I never
went back. Years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can't tell you.
Okay. You can tell me.
I couldn't tell you what my reaction was.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, back to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved on to the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes, which is it's that wonderful musical number
that you've been singing all along.
Yes, the Inquisition. Let's begin the Inquisition. Look out, sin. We have a mission
to convert the Jews. We're going to teach them wrong from right. We're going to help them see the light. and make an offer that they can't refuse.
That the Jews can't refuse.
Don't be
Dan and
bored.
Chris, the musical.
Oh, God help me.
With Torquemada.
Torquemada. I just got back from the Auto da Fe. Auto da Fe? What's an Auto da Fe? It's what you ought not to do, but you do anyway. Come on, who loves it? Who doesn't love a good musical number? Apparently Tanya.
Do that. Will you convert? No. Will you confess? No. Will you?
Yeah.
Dance break, and then you got the, of course, synchronized swimmers.
Yeah.
Call in the nuns.
I mean, come on.
And then that runs us right into the French Revolution.
Yes, of course, because that's what always happens.
Yes. Didn't you know?
Now, John Cleese turned down the role of Count de Money due to scheduling conflicts.
But back in the Spanish, because Jackie Mason and Ronnie Graham were cameos in the Jewish torture victims. So Jackie Mason was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I did remember seeing him there. Yeah. You were saying all the who's who of comedy.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So
I think you know what. Now I'm just going to cycle back for a moment to the chariot chase scene. Mm-hmm. It would have been 10 times better if the getaway driver was Cheech and Chong.
Oh jeez. When did they become big?
I think right about the 80s. Let's see.
Was it that early?
Where is my Google?
Oh yeah, because without the marijuana, they debuted in 71. Yes, they were around. I don't know when they were in movies, but they had an album in 71.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first Cheech and Chong movie? The first movie was Up in Smoke, 1978. Buddy Stoner comedy. So that would have definitely in the time frame.
So if they had been the ones driving the cart, and then our four quote unquote heroes were in the back, then and you could just imagine them and Gregory Hines' character all kind of teaming up to roll the mighty joint.
Or they had like a joint stand.
Or a joint stand. See, I can't believe we're having this conversation. I can't believe it at the moment.
Well, considering their first movie was Up in Smoke, a stoner comedy. It's appropriate. Yes, but that would have definitely, yeah. All right, French Revolution.
Mm-hmm. And like I said at the beginning, it's as much as it's a Mel Brooks movie, and there was the ridiculous aspects of it. This was really kind of a snapshot, a caricature nonetheless, but a snapshot of really how it looked, of what the situation looked.
Mm-hmm. The history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, Cloris Leachman played Madame Defarge, who incited the mob to plot the French Revolution.
Yes. And then you had the whole, the king and the servant sharing the same appearance. So
yes, the piss boy.
Yes, the piss boy, which led to levels of comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then it's good to be the king,
which was used repeatedly.
Yep. Mel Brooks, of course, was the king, but did play the king and the piss boy.
And that was recycled in Men in Tights.
Yes.
Yes. I was trying to think of there was some other things. You know what? That's right. Thank you. Because there was a song, and I can't remember if it was during the French Revolution scene, but it reminded me of the Men in Tights song. Like there was a theme there. Like I can't remember if it was during the Roman times or whatnot, but I remember the musical cue. I was like, wait a minute, didn't he use that again in one of the future movies?
Oh,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
It's possible.
Tanya, you want to come over and we'll watch the movie again together?
I think the silence speaks 1,000 words there.
Yes. I have a sneaking suspicion she is not muted because of vacuuming in the background.
Nope, I wasn't muted at all. I was just choosing to ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love you dearly, but no.
Yay.
Then of course they had the miracle joke through the movie.
Right, the horse.
The horse.
It'll take a miracle to survive.
Considering that the horse started in the Roman Empire, but then in the French Revolution, miracle shows up again.
Because that's what you do.
But because the characters were in the French Revolution, Josephus arrives in a cart pulled by miracle.
Mm-hmm. But the woman who was playing the love interest in the French Revolution was not the same actress as the Roman times, was it?
No, it was Pamela Stephenson.
Yeah.
Who asked King Louis to free her father.
Right.
And he said,
Madeline Rimbaud.
Yep. You know, and I can imagine that scene alone, if that movie were made today, that scene alone would get, the cancel culture folks all up in arms.
Oh my gosh.
They would have gone nuts. I mean, the thing is unfortunately that was accurate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. But his depiction of it would have been probably frowned upon, is what we'll say.
Yeah, and people won't even try that today, I don't think. So yeah. Let's see. What else happened? Is that so? We agreed that this movie could not be made as it is today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Besides the fact you don't have the right. I mean, the people made the movie. I mean,
right.
You don't have these type of comedians today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. I mean, a lot of them aren't around anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, most of that cast has passed away at this point, hasn't they?
I mean,
wow, that's
Mel Brooks is what, 95 now?
Yeah, he just had his birthday this past week.
Yeah, wow.
I remember making a mention of it in Nerd World News.
Mm-hmm. And who else is still around? Even I wonder. Jeez. Look at all this stuff. So and so was. So and so was. So and so was. Oh, the woman who played the love interest, she's still alive.
Oh, Mary Margaret. Pamela Stevenson. Yeah, she's married to Billy Connolly, who was in Boondock Saints.
Uh-huh.
I think the second one.
She's in New Zealand, 1971.
I would say her picture is kind of scary. Can you say like 80s?
Well, the one I'm looking at is not scary at all.
Oh, the one that's on IMDb is really, really scary.
Oh, the one I have on Wikipedia is not scary at all.
For who?
Pamela Stevenson. Yeah, if you hop over to IMDb.
The picture they have from 1992 is the one that they're showing.
Oh, geez.
Hold on. I will send it via...
Pamela Stevenson, IMDb. Yeah. Oh, my God. 80s hair. Holy 80s hair.
Can I tell you that one's scary? So, it's like, come on, at least update your photo. But she hasn't done anything since 1994.
Yeah.
She was uncredited in Columbo.
Well, she's a psychologist, writer, and performer. Huh.
That's definitely a very young picture. Definitely 80s, whatever. She's got one earring in. So, and
let's see.
Got too close with the Aquanet.
Who else is still alive? Shecky Green is still alive?
No, he can't be.
Who?
Is he 117?
Shecky Green. He was born in 26. He's 95 also.
Wow.
Huh.
That's amazing.
Born Fred Sheldon Greenfield.
Huh.
Oh, were you looking at what, Shecky Green?
Yeah. He played the general, didn't he? He was the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had planned to become a gym teacher, but had performing comedy in Chicago at mob-run nightclubs. Wow. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there's a couple still alive, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, so any other thoughts on the movie here?
On the movie itself?
Yeah.
I had a kick out of it. It wasn't, it wasn't my favorite comedy movie of all time. And when you look back at it with 21st century sensibilities, there are definitely some groan-worthy moments going on there.
Yes.
But I got a kick out of it, and there was some nostalgia, to looking back to, the 80s when we were kids and we were learning, about comedy for the first time, and we were laughing at adult humor rather than laughing at, Big Bird and Sesame Street making kid jokes and stuff like that. So in the 80s we were adolescent and coming into figuring out what was going to happen next, and of course there was it's interesting to see how certain sensibilities age or don't age,
right. If your kids had watched this movie, what would they have thought?
If my kids watch this movie today, like right now at 18, 19 years old,
yes,
I'm pretty sure Jules would have probably gotten up and walked out early because this is just not her kind of humor. Yeah. Ian might have hung in there and gotten through the Roman section. If he had not gotten up after or during Rome, he probably would have gotten up early in French Revolution. I think he was stuck around for the musical number just to get a giggle out of that and then moved on. I don't think they would have appreciated it.
Yeah, it's really kind of a movie that's made for our generation and older, possibly. I mean, it's really kind of thing doesn't age well.
No, I mentioned it the other day. My coworker Anita just burst out giggling, and she just shook her head. I'm like, yeah. And then one of the other kids is like, oh my God, Monty Python. But I'm like, it's not a Monty Python, but it's in the same thing. And then they went all off on Monty Python and things like that. I'm like, you guys are killing me here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. That's just me.
Well, is Monty Python more timeless than like the Mel Brooks movies? Do they get into the political stuff as much, or do they just get into stupid humor?
I think it's just the absurd. Monty Python is theater of the absurd.
Right. When Mel Brooks, his stuff talks, you bring political stuff here, there's more edgy in a different way.
Right.
So Monty Python could be a little bit more timeless just because of that versus this is, they were talking about in Mel Brooks stuff, there's, stuff that you probably wouldn't do today at all.
There's a lot that you wouldn't do today.
No.
Yeah.
Well, on that happy and pious note, we'll take a quick break. We're going to absorb the discussion.
We got to end on note.
And when we return, we will be theorizing what movies we will be talking about next, and have our question of the week. Coming back in 27, 26,
25, 24, 23.
3, 2, 1. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and all and every single point in between. We hope you guys are having a great week so far. I hope you're having some fun. I hope if you have not seen this movie, you take a moment to go watch the movie.
We were talking about History of the World Part 2.
Yeah, we touched on that during the break, where the final sequence of the movie as the credits are about to roll is the but wait, there's going to be a History of the World Part 2, and there never was. And I can't, for the life of me, I looked around, I can't find any information substantiating that there ever was going to be the History of the World Part 2. I know that some are like, well, he didn't make it because the box office wasn't so good. I can't see anything that he planned on. I think it was like the last joke was that he was going to
Pretty sure it was a joke, yeah.
Yeah, and like, well, the Jews in space part, I think a lot of that transferred over into what would eventually become Spaceballs 5 or 6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just the special effects he was using in that sequence alone, I'm like, wow, he's getting a figure for it. I also, and this is a theory that I came up with on my own, and I have not looked into it. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm wondering if he decided to suddenly call it History of the World Part 1 because of Star Wars. When it went to Empire Strikes Back, suddenly Star Wars was now Episode 4, and Empire Strikes Back, which was being made at the same time, was Episode 5. So I'm wondering if that was his little thumbing of his nose to George Lucas, knowing that he had Spaceballs on the horizon. And that's just me. That's me theory crafting. I came up with it while I was watching the movie last night. I could be really way the hell off base, and I admit that freely. But it was something that popped into my head.
I did see something about the title of the film in the trivia. Something along.
It's based on a book.
Well, that, but Mel Brooks came up with the name of this movie because he was tired of people asking him what his next movie would be. And then there was something about if there was going to be a part 2, and he said no, maybe a part 4, but not necessarily.
See, and this is where I got the inspiration for off the cuff saying, Flower City Comic Con 6, the search for Flower City Comic Con 5.
Okay. On June 7th, 1981, just 4 days before the movie opened in theaters, Mel Brooks was interviewed by the New York Times and mentioned the possibility of sequel. Will there be History of the World Part 2, he asked rhetorically. No, maybe a Part 4, never a Part 2.
That sounds like him too. It really, really does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the music in the Jews in Space segment was recycled into Men in Tights number from Robin Hood Men in Tights. That's the one that you were talking about earlier.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. Very well. What movie should we do next? I'm almost inclined to let Tanya kind of pick, because I've abused her twice now with 2 Mel Brooks movies. So I think it's movies that make us laugh, I think, would be a great topic to run on.
We could do that. I'll have to think. I'll definitely have to think and let people know later. I don't know.
Is there a favorite comedy, a favorite movie that makes you laugh? Or is it a movie that is not necessarily a comedy but makes you giggle and laugh and feel good?
Off the top of my head, I have not a clue.
Wow.
Yeah. Remember, I just usually check my brain at the door and things like that. But
that's fair.
But yeah, I don't necessarily get the all-out giggles like you two did in regards to Mel Brooks and
children. What do you want? We're children in men's bodies.
But you know what?
Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's World.
I like Wayne's World.
You want to do Wayne's World?
I liked Bill and Ted's.
Okay.
I don't know.
We had talked about a couple of sessions ago. We talked about doing Bill and Ted sequence, because I still have not watched the third one that came out recently.
Yeah, neither have I.
That was good. It was entertaining. It was a little predictable, but it was entertaining.
Ian's funny. Psst, podcast. Hi, everyone. She just sent me a text.
Hi, Anne. She's so stinking cute.
Yes. But, yeah. So
we'll decide on a movie off. So maybe
offline.
Something like that. Yeah. So,
and we'll spring it on you.
Mel Brooks for now.
I think we're done with Mel Brooks for now.
We're done with Mel Brooks for now.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just more of the same. Like,
even like Robin Hood Men in Tights.
No, I think we could watch that one, because I think I giggled at that one.
We're men in tights.
Tights.
Roam around the forest looking for fights.
We're men. We're men.
So let's finish up our Mel Brooks trilogy with Men in Tights, and then it gives me a week to really think about where we're going to go next.
That's perfectly fair.
I will suffer through one more, because I think I giggled through this one.
Unlike other Robin Hoods, I could speak with an English accent.
Yes, that one gets quoted quite often. I just have to figure out is that streaming anywhere?
I don't know.
Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Dan has it on DVD.
I do. So we'll figure that out. Okay.
Yeah, we'll roll with that one.
Okay.
All right, my friends, it is time for the question of the week.
All right.
Tanya,
Yeah.
pick a number between 1 and 7 million.
Or 453, whichever one is easier.
Let's see. 414.
414. What single thing makes you most nostalgic? Ooh.
What single thing makes me most nostalgic? I want to say probably going through pictures that like the holidays with my grandparents and things like that, because I don't have them around anymore. So going through and remembering that when we're looking through pictures, or if a family member has passed away and we're all gathered around talking, things like that. That definitely, when the family has a tendency to come together.
Okay.
I was going to go somewhere similar as far as like looking at old pictures and, just thinking of, the times past. And yeah, I mean, hopefully the pictures are good times, but, but yeah, pictures definitely bring up the memories there. I'm definitely a very visual person.
Yeah, that's a thing. How about, and so you're going to stick with pictures too, Daniel?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I mean, pictures are an obvious one. I agree. As the self-designated most sentimental person in the family for the Franks and Spiottis, I have artifacts, is what I'll call them. I have my pictures of my grandparents, and I have blankets that both of my grandmothers knitted or crocheted. I have my Nana blanket, and then I have my Grandma Helen blanket, and those are treasured pieces. My dining room table is the dining room table that my maternal my Nana and Papa, my mom's parents, had. And the fact that it just keeps deteriorating, and there's a water stain on it, and now that I discovered when I was changing out the tablecloth yesterday, and I was so brokenhearted over that. I don't know how to fix that. And it's like I'm watching this set like degrade little by little over time, and I'm like, well, I'm probably just going to replace him outright next year, and then store it nice and clean away, and then when I have the money, I'll take it to like a real honest to God carpenter and have him restore the whole thing for me, and then I'll give it to like my grandkids or something. I don't know, but I have little things like that all throughout. In my office, I have little knickknacks that belong to family members. In my room, I don't. Not so much in my room. No, I have my in my sleeping porch. I have the rocking chair that was given to my mother when I was born. Stuff like that. So I have artifacts that kind of keep me in touch with where I came from in terms of my family line.
You have your grandpa's fleece?
Yeah, that's my go-to jacket is that white fleece with the black shoulders. That was actually my grandfather's. That was my papa's.
Oh, wow.
And when we were cleaning out his apartment after he passed away, we found a whole bunch. My mom found a whole bunch of jackets, and they were really in good shape. And she's like, "I don't want these to go to waste. Maybe you and Ian can use them." And I remember seeing a picture of him wearing that very fleece, that white fleece with the black shoulders, and I'm like, "That's mine." And then I grabbed it, and then I'm using it much more than he did, but wearing it out little by little. But that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
He had this knack for he always carried Kleenex with him, right? And there was this red windbreaker, and I'd had it hanging up in my basement for the longest time. And finally, Ian needed a jacket, so he grabbed the red windbreaker, and I said, "Oh, it was Big Papa's." And he immediately shoved his hands into the pocket, and the poor kid got all misty-eyed because he pulled out a handful of Kleenex, and we knew my grandfather had put it there, you know. So, and this was years after my grandfather had passed away. So it was that little touch to this person who was important to us.
Yeah.
You know, and so I have that. I have, you know, a lot of my fine china that I have stashed away at this point, but a lot of the fine china that I still have is my grandmother's. You know, that I have my paternal grandmother, my grandma Helen. I have her good silver in a white, nice wooden box in my dining room. So, like I said, I have artifacts. I have these little mementos. The end table in my living room is my grandmother's. You know, these things that just remind me of the who's who of the people who are important to me.
Yeah, that's impressive. From so many different relatives. I mean,
Yeah.
I have some stuff from my dad. I kind of wish I would have kept a couple more things, but he had so much stuff I didn't know what to keep.
Exactly.
You know?
That had to be like, you know, brain melting.
You know, so I have a couple pocket watches of his. I have there's a table that he refinished that is in our living room. There's another dresser downstairs that he had refinished. It's in a basement right now. You know, but a lot of other stuff. You know, like, I wish I had kept a camera maybe, but he had so many. There wasn't like a single one that was, you know, for the watches. We had one of his friends go through the watches and you know, show us some of the like the more valuable one type of thing to kind of, you know, pick something. You know, but there wasn't one particular one that he had all the time or anything like that for almost anything, because he had so much of everything. You know, he went through, you know, his closets, and we got all Square Dance clothes pretty much, but he had, you know, tons of everything. And it was just so hard to pick. You know, it wasn't a single camera, it wasn't a single this, wasn't a single that, or whatever. You know, so I have some watches from him. I have a couple pieces of furniture. But that's, you know, and I have some of his personal stuff, you know, stuff from when he was a kid and stuff. I have a lot of his, because he kept everything, you know, but he's the only one I really have. I have stuff from my grandfather, I guess, from a couple of my grandfathers. I came across some of their stuff and going through the old house, and but yeah, I mean, those definitely give you more of a link to the past.
Yeah.
You know, and
I have one other person here that you can ask that question to.
Who's that?
Okay, ask me.
Oh, is this Nana Robin?
This is Nana.
Hi, Nana.
Hello.
Dan's got a question for you.
Okay, Dan.
What single thing makes you most nostalgic?
Music.
Music. Oh, that's a good one.
I like that.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, you could think of your old songs. Yeah, take you right back.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
Did I do good?
You did amazing.
Good.
Okay, here you go.
That's a very good answer, because definitely music is designed to bring out emotions anyways.
Yes. It is.
In general, you know. So
she snuck up on me. That's okay. She's got her FC3 shirt on.
Fantastic.
But that's even better. That's a great answer, though. I like the music, because I mean, I listen to. I'll listen to older music, especially my Debbie Gibson music and stuff. But you know, I listen. But music in general brings out emotion, so it makes you. It can definitely, if you associate it, music with a certain event or a certain time or whatever. Then, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can think of, you know, particular songs I would listen to while my dad is going through ALS. You know, there was, you know, that's recent, but it brought out emotion type of stuff. And of course, there's the songs from, you know, high school and stuff like that, where, you know, that just, you know, that hits you in that certain spot because of
hit you in the feels.
Going through something at that time in that song for some reason, you know, related to it and type of thing. So yeah, it's a good answer. I like that.
And she ran away.
Give her a gold star for that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Gold star.
Yeah.
Very nice.
She definitely ran away. So on that note.
Well then, hey Dan.
Hey Christopher.
Oh Daniel.
Oh Christopher. Oh Christopher.
That's
just weird, isn't it?
That's just weird. It got weird, man. It made it weird. It's like when Tony said to Rhodey, you know, if you get it, I'll hold your stuff, or whatever the case. It's like, no, you had to make it weird. Anyway, you hit it. Because this has been FC3's Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you September 25th and 26th of 2021 at the Total Sports Experience in Gates. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week. Have a safe week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Dun, dun.
I miss Billy.
I know, me too.